Very Steelers tight end Antonio Brown. He asked a question on Twitter: is he the best wide receiver of his generation? Antonio Brown was a six-round draft pick, picked very very low, and he's a guy that to me has gotten a lot out of his talents. He worked very very hard. Uh, Not many guys that pick that low become what Antonio Brown has become. Antonio Brown is a future Hall of Famer in my opinion. His arc is very very high. Now he asked a question on Twitter: is he the best wide receiver of his generation? And I don't know. He asked a question like he think he's the best, and he's going to see what other people want to say about it. If other people are going to chime in and what they're going to say about it, or or is he looking for validation, or is he looking for the public true assessment of where he's at? Now, I believe Antonio Brown is probably he's probably the best wide receiver of the last 3 or 4 years to me, in my opinion, over Odell Beckham, over AJ Green, over Julio Jones. But to say he's the best wide receiver of his generation, you have to go back to what, at least 2000. I'm gonna go like generation in football, especially because the time span in football is so low. I'm gonna go about 10 years. So 2000. Antonio Brown was drafted in 2010. So he has other wide receivers in his generation per se to me that had impact like him. You got Larry Fitzgerald that was drafted in 2004. You got Calvin Johnson that was drafted in 2007. You got Julio Jones that was drafted in 2011, and AJ Green drafted in 2011. And you could throw Odell Beckham in there too. So is he the best generation of his generation? Now, going by the numbers, no, he's not the best wide receiver of his generation. Now he's in the top five, definitely. He's probably in the top three. He's to me he's behind Larry Fitzgerald and Calvin Johnson. Antonio Brown, even though he's played 3 less seasons and what 7 less seasons than Larry Fitzgerald, 6 less seasons than Larry Fitzgerald. His numbers are 59 touchdowns, 733 receptions, and 9,000 receiving yards. So he's on a great arc. Uh, Calvin Johnson got 83 touchdowns, 731 receptions. He actually got more receptions than Calvin Johnson, even though we all know Calvin Johnson retired early, former Detroit Lion wide receiver extraordinaire. Calvin Johnson, he did retire early. What 3 years ago? So he hasn't really fully played out. To me, his career. He had more years left, but he wanted to retire. He wanted to do other things. You got to respect the man. And he got 11,000 reception yards, 11,619 reception yards. Larry Fitzgerald, on the other hand, got 110 touchdowns with 12,000 receptions, with 1,200 receptions and 15,000 yards. So no, Antonio Brown is not the best wide receiver of his generation. I mean, if you wanted to know the answer to that question, but he's third. Larry Fitzgerald to me is the best wide receiver of this generation. Now Antonio Brown got a chance to improve on his numbers, but Larry Fitzgerald 110 touchdowns is going to be hard to catch. Right now, Antonio Brown has 59. 15,000 yards. Antonio Brown got 9,000. Maybe he can come close to that or past that. And receptions, he got 733 to Larry Fitzgerald 1,234. Now, can he catch Larry Fitzgerald? I'm not sure. He would have to play at least 12 years and four to five more years, at least 4 years at a high level to catch Larry Fitzgerald. But no, Antonio Brown is not the best wide receiver of his generation, not just yet. He has more work to be done. Those guys, at least, in Larry Fitzgerald, that he's trying to catch mainly, and Calvin Johnson, they played 4 and 6 years more than him. So he got 4 to 6 more years to try to catch those guys stat wise. And Larry Fitzgerald did go to a Super Bowl versus the Steelers. And I believe Julio Jones played against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. They both came up short. They both did not win the Super Bowl, but they at least played in the Super Bowl as their team's number one wide receiver. So, do I think Antonio Brown has a chance to catch those guys? It remains to be seen, man, because it's going to be hard to match Larry Fitzgerald and catch Calvin Johnson. They got extraordinary numbers, but he can't do it at his age. It's a different. I'm gonna say this is a different era of football to where the wide receivers have more latitude to get off the line of scrimmage. The referees don't let the defensive backs kind of hand check them down the field as much. So yes, Antonio Brown is extremely talented. Yes, he's very, very talented. He got a quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger. He's been playing with a Hall of Fame quarterback as long as he's been there. Ben Roethlisberger's been there. Now, in Calvin Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald defense, neither one of them. Well, Calvin Johnson a couple years he did play, with Kurt Warner, who's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Calvin Johnson, to me, he played. Is Matt Stafford a Hall of Fame quarterback? No, I don't think so. I don't think Matt Stafford. He would have to put together a lot of playoff runs over the next 4 or 5 years to be considered. I don't think he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. So those two guys did not play with a Hall of Fame quarterback for a long tender of their career like Antonio Brown. But I'm not taking anything away from Antonio Brown. Great wide receiver, but no, he's not the best receiver in his generation. Y'all can chime in and let me know who y'all think the best wide receiver of the last 10 years is. Subscribe to the channel, man. I'm out.